Okay. Let's see. Oops. Wait. Okay, I guess that might be my cue to share screen. Let me see. Oops, that's not right. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, so I guess we're live, or at least I've got started here. Move a few things around. Hopefully you can see the OER to the textbook and beyond first slide. And I'm David Bourne, a faculty member in the CU School of Pharmacy and a member of the Anschutz. Oh dear, what did I do? Let me try that again. Oh gosh. Sorry, I've got a participant window in front of everything. Okay. The OER committee and the Anschutz campus began our activities over about 3 years ago, and the purpose is to fund projects that promote the awareness of open education resources, encourage the adoption, and more recently to support the creation of open education resources on the Anschutz Medical Campus. And there we go. The committee has been funded by the Colorado, Colorado Department of Higher Education, with some top-up money from the AMC campus administration. We began activities 3 years ago, and I'm really out of sync here. Sorry about this. Okay, let's look at this slide. On the right here, we have the committee members, 2 from the library, campus library, 2 from the college, the School of Medicine, and 2 from the School of Pharmacy, Ben and Ellie from the library, Natalia and Jessica from medicine, and myself and Michael from pharmacy. Our activities in general have been to put on workshops about open education resources. We've had some meetings about the with a community of practice. This is a group of faculty that have been participating in the workshops and some of the grants. We've been providing some grant money for various projects, and we have a LibGuide on the library website that has a number of OER resources that can be accessed by faculty and others. Funding for the first year was from the Colorado Department of Higher Education, which is part of the start of a 3-year grant, in fact. The provost office and the CU president's office in the first year provided some top-up money. We submitted a budget, and the department gave us a fair bit of money towards that budget, and then the provost and presidents were good enough to add to that. In that first year, we had a couple of workshops with quite a few faculty participating, talking about OER and where to find it and how to use it in courses. And that, with a small grant to participants of the workshop, with that group, we were able to develop a community of practice where we had members, faculty members, present their projects, talk about their projects, and things that worked and things that didn't work. we're able to provide adoption grants for 12 faculty members, and so that was a good start to the process. We're able to also fund support personnel. We had a part-time library graduate student, Ali, who would help with the committee and other activities, running workshops and things. And then Michael Ampey is an instructional designer in the School of Pharmacy, and he was contracted to provide some support to the grantees with their projects. In the second year, support was continued with from the Colorado Department of Higher Education and the provost office. The OER workshops transitioned into being regular library workshop sessions, and so I think mostly Ali, maybe Ben did some, but they've been a regular feature of the library workshop collection. We had some community practice meetings that might have been in the first year. I'm trying to think, when with COVID we didn't have any in person. I think we had one Zoom type meeting. We're able to provide adoption grants to 5 faculty and creation grants now to faculty. On the medical campus, we recognized that there wasn't a lot of OER material around, and so creation of this material became an important part of what we wanted to fund and support. So we had a good number of creation grants, not a lot of money, but some impetus to support these projects. And again, we had the support personnel that I've mentioned. We're now in the third year, and as I said, the workshops are now regular library sessions. Adoption grants, we're actually still accepting applications for these grants, the adoption and creation grants. We've funded 3 of the creation grants already to get people started, but we're still accepting applications. Our library graduate student is now a faculty member in the library, so that's good news for the OER effort on campus. And we look forward to continued help with this endeavor in that area. So congratulations, Ali, on that. Since our beginning up to July, we've had over 2,000 students using OER. 17 faculty members have adopted it. The LibGuide has been quite active. 8 faculty members have created OER, and we've had quite a number of faculty and staff go through the workshops and other such things. So we've got a good start to the an awareness and creation and adoption process. We've had creation projects funded, textbook. This funding isn't total support for these projects, but it certainly helps people sort of get interested in OER. And one textbook in nurse practitioner has been published through Merlot. Plastinated organs via 3D scans, you'll hear about that shortly. Some websites with radiological case studies and some number of videos. And again, we'll see more information about the microscope videos in a few minutes. The award recipients presenting today will be Maureen Stabio. I guess Gregory Geisner is presenting for this the second project, and Matthew, I think, is out of town, so I'll be sort of talking briefly about his presentation. So at this point, I'll go to the next slide and let Maureen describe her project.
Great, thank you, David. Everybody hear me okay? Yep. So my name is Maureen Stabio. I'm an associate professor at the School of Medicine, and I'm a neuroscientist and neuroanatomy educator in the School of Medicine, and also for the Modern Human Anatomy program, which is a master's degree program here on the Anschutz campus. Let me fix my earbud here. And this program was great for me. I didn't really know much at all about open education resources. And it was really helpful to learn about it through the workshops at the library and to see how I could contribute. One of the things in anatomy that I noticed is that many of the open education resources for anatomic images are cartoon images or diagrams, and there really aren't authentic anatomy available in OER. There's a little bit, but not a whole lot. And so I had started collecting and plastinated organs. Specifically, I started with brains. And so we created really a physical library and an online library, digitizing all of these plastinated organs, and made all of it OER. And so first of all, what is plastination? So plastination is the process by which tissues are first dehydrated in an acetone bath, and then they're vacuum infused with a polymer. So first the acetone replaces the water, and then the polymer replaces the acetone, and it makes the tissues durable, and they can be handled without gloves or without ventilation. They're hardened. This was popular. This was developed in the 1970s by Gunther von Hagens, but popularized by Body Worlds, if anybody has been to a Body Worlds exhibit. So we created a museum, library, gallery of these organs here at the Anschutz campus. And then we've also, through this library grant, have digitized the organs. And so the process by which we digitize, we first prepare the specimen through dissection, and then plastination. We have a surface scanner. It's an Arctec 3D, and we use the Studio 13 professional software. It looks like an ironing. I don't like remembering ironing clothes because I never do it anymore, but it is fun to iron brains. So we surface scan the brains, put them into Maya software for 3D modeling, and then bring them into a program called Verge 3D that adds interactive elements so that the students can virtually rotate, manipulate, translate, and label the organs. This is the same technology that's used by the NASA to create an interactive website so that users can virtually drive the Mars rover on a virtual Mars online. If you've ever done that, it's very fun. And so we decided, let's do that for brains. That was sort of the inspiration. And then we incorporated the organs into our website via Webflow. And so our website is called anatomylibrary.org. If anyone wants to check out, there's photographs that are all OER of the organs. And then there's this interactive element, which we're working on. We'll go to the next slide. So what we're doing, you know, this was really spurred by the OER grant, and it's been really fun. So we're now expanding. We started out with a collection of brains. That was our first creation grant. And now we're expanding our collection to all organ systems. So we're working on this now. So right now we have 50 specimens, both healthy and diseased, from all systems of the body. So we have lungs and hearts. We're trying to get organs where the organ is plastinated with an instrument in place, like an electrode or an prosthetic joint. And I started actually plastinating about 5 years ago, and we've lent actually the physical plastinates to about 2,000 students per year. About 60% of that is outreach for schools all across Denver and Colorado, and even we've taken them to conferences nationally. And then 40% of the use of the physical organs is for teaching on the Anschutz Medical Campus, so dental school, medical school, graduate school. We've had about 15 outreach organizations and 12 departments. And so we have this physical library, which is OER, but really the digitizing of this so that it can be used by anyone in the world is what has been made possible through the OER grant. And so the next slide, this has been done by students mostly. So graduate students, Lindsay Milgram and Jake Shearer, who are now graduated and working, have done a lot of this work in dissecting and plastinating and digitizing. We've had a lot of our big part of the support for the digitization project and the support just for learning about OER and how to get the license right and how to create a website with the OER license on the website. All of that has been really facilitated through this library grant. And then for the plastination, that's been funded by these other organizations. Our specimens are approved for use for education through the State Anatomical Board. And so this has been a really fun project. And if you're interested in borrowing a brain You can email me if you're interested in using any of the images for anatomy teaching. They're all open education and they're available on anatomylibrary.org. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Maureen. Now, Gregory has some words to say.
Oh, thank you so much, David. Can everybody hear me? All right, well, we actually received both an adoption and a creation grant. And we actually ended up using the adoption grant along with the creation grant to purchase a camera to help us make videos. And it turns out that that was extremely fortuitous given COVID. Next slide, please. So the Advanced Light Microscopy Core actually has microscopes in all 3 research buildings on campus. We currently have about 14 microscopes right now. We're getting another. They tend to be rather expensive instruments, typically between 400 and 800K. So a lot of labs can't afford these things. And so they tend to use the core. And the core supports not just researchers on the AMC campus, but we also support research at NREL, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory in Golden. We've had people come up from New Mexico. We support the VA, National Jewish, and a number of outside companies that also use our microscopes. So prior to creating the videos, we always train people on a one-to-one basis. And that's actually ideal because we have people drive the systems. And if you've ever gone somewhere in a car, it's always better to drive yourself to know where you're going than sit in, say, the passenger seat and try to remember that. But unfortunately, we couldn't do that during COVID. Campus limitations were 1 person per room. And of course, that meant only the driver could be there and we couldn't be there with them. So we bought a bunch of webcams, and then it became a problem. Well, how do you demonstrate this stuff if you can't be there? So that was the impetus for creating the videos. And so far we've made about 30 videos, and they range anywhere in length from about 5-10 minutes up to about 50 minutes. And we have the videos online, plus we also have them on each microscope instruments. And so if somebody forgets how to do something, they can just look on the training videos folder on the screen and, oh yeah, that's how you do that now. And so that has really cut down massively on the amount of support we've had to do. We've also found that it also cuts our training time about in half if somebody's seen it once before. So it's been a real boon to us, and I'm sorry we didn't start doing this sooner. In addition to the videos, we've also produced 4-page color brochures for a lot of microscopes, for written materials for people to refer back to if they forget how to do something. So instead of just writing, there's lots and lots of pictures on there, and that does seem to be helping also. We've also conducted a user survey, and surprisingly enough, we didn't think people would like the video training much, but about a little over 62% were actually okay with it. And so even after the COVID emergency goes away, we intend to keep creating these and keep adding to them. It's something that we've actually kind of enjoyed doing. So right now, the ALMC is, I don't want to say short-staffed, but we're kind of at the limits of our capabilities. We have 4 personnel, 2 of which are part-time. I'm a quarter-time person there, for example. And one of the other advantages of the videos is we no longer have to explain theory each time. How does the microscope do this? We have people just look at the videos beforehand so we can concentrate on just how do you actually run the equipment. And again, that has really cut down on the amount of time we've had to spend training. And it also allows us to not have to do so many refresher courses for people who don't use the microscopes quite so often. So next slide. What we intend to be doing here is we want to create more videos, obviously, for all of our commonly used instruments. We're going to remake some of the stuff that we did prior to the prior to getting the creation grant, because a lot of them we just shot with a cell phone camera. And when it becomes possible to do online seminars with a fair number of people in the room, we're going to be using OER for that also. And the final thing we're planning to do is to make these more publicly available. We'll put them on Mountain Scholar or whatever else the library recommends. And I really thank Ellie and David's support. They were extremely useful for this. Very, very helpful in helping us determine where the video should go for future use and for wider distribution. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Matthew. Let's see. I've got a couple of minutes now, unfortunately, but to talk about Matthew's project. This was another project funded by the OER AMC committee. Includes putting radiological case studies on a website, and material that Matthew's been involved with has created quite a few sessions, quite a few long sessions, and this has been part of a transition to residency course in the School of Medicine. There have been oral presentations about the work, and just recently Matthew's been accepted as a Macy faculty scholar to create a national compendium of OER teaching materials, and this is a 2-year program that he's just recently been awarded. Quite a prestigious achievement for him. So that's it's nice to think that we had just a little bit of a help in this project for him. But and this is a couple of the slides of the material that they've been putting together. Again, the committee's grant was just a small part of this, I'm sure, and he's done a lot more work with that. In the future, we're hoping that there's continued funding sources for OER on campus, and we'll continue with awards and follow up. Increasing awareness of OER on campus. At the moment, it seems like there's medicine and nursing are quite aware of the OER. We need to get more of the schools aware of what can be done with OER material. We have the website for dissemination of OER material, and this may be where the microscope slides will end up. Merlot is another site. There's a couple of other sites that host OER material. An important part of OER is being able to include it in CVs for promotion and tenure, and I think there's a workshop a little later this morning that will deal with this, but this is also a big part of why we do OER, is to get recognition for this, both within the state, nationally and internationally. The beauty of putting things on the internet is you can get an international audience for the material, for the work that you're doing. And then a final part of this that's important, is to get student evaluations and acceptance of OER material. I think I'm a little over time maybe, but if there are questions, I'll be happy. Hopefully we'll be able to try and answer them.
David, do you want to unshare the screen so we can see everybody's faces?
That's a good idea. Thank
you. Everyone, I
there
know that we're over time now, but if anyone's interested in staying to ask questions, please do. We had some wonderful presentations here, and the whole goal of putting this together is to share some examples of the kind of things that we can do with OER that go beyond just textbooks. And these resources are extremely helpful for educational purposes as well. So basically to showcase some of these resources so that you can use them, and also to give you some ideas of what are the kind of things that can be done with OER. So any questions along those lines?
I'm looking at the chat. There doesn't seem to be any questions outstanding. I was pleased to see responses in the chat following, because while you're presenting your screen, you can't really see the chats, or at least we haven't worked out how to do that. So anyway, yeah.
Studio has been answering some questions about the availability of the anatomy library, so you can find the website there in the chat. And I had a question for Greg actually in the chat that, you know, when do you expect that your resources will be available to the broader community if anyone here in the audience or others are interested in using that?
A lot of them are available right now. We are planning to remake some of those videos with the new video camera, since they were originally shot with a cell phone camera, but they're useful now if somebody needs them. And so probably within the next few weeks, we'll start putting those out on library sites. So
if someone wants to access that, should they contact you or?
Yeah, contact me or Radu Moldovan. He's the core manager.
Thank you.
And then we had a question from John, who says he's working on an OER lab kit for an introductory chemistry course and has trouble getting funding. Any suggestions?
What school are you in?
CCC online. Community, I'm not sure. What
Colorado Community College online. If it's an online program, I would think they might be providing funds for supporting teaching material, and it really is just a matter of making it open education material to make it OER. So that might be one source, but
yeah, so the state of Colorado offers this funding that we got for the CU system to develop these programs, but they also offer grants to individuals within different schools in Colorado. This is open to the whole state. And they have recently, thankfully, decided to expand this program for the next few years. So the deadline for applications is usually in November. And I think if that's a resource that you feel is going to target and support a lot of students, definitely consider applying to CDHE in November, or October or November.
Oh.
Someone wants info on Mountain Scholar. Maybe Ben has an answer to that.
I think the link that I had on the slide, that last slide, is the repository through the library, I think. Is that correct, Ben? I think that's the one Ellie gave me.
So I'm looking now, but it is no longer Mountain Scholar. We had to move to a different platform, and that just happened literally like a couple days ago. So I'm looking for the correct website.
Yeah, as a
someone's asking about accessing the resources from Dr. Rustichi.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have a link for that, David?
I don't think I have a particular. Well, let's see. Let me see. Well, no, I don't have a link for Matthew's material, but through the School of Medicine, it's part of a course that is the transition to residency course. So yeah, if somebody's interested, they can send me an email and I'll try and get that.
I'll send you an email, David. That's my question.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And this is something that is, of course, being made OER, so it will be available in several repositories when the product is finished. So if anyone's interested, please keep one of our emails and we can send you the information as soon as it's available.
I've just put the link to what I think is the digital collections website. The library website is in the chat now, but oh, okay. Ben found it too. Yeah, okay.
The digital collections is where the resources from Dr. Rustichi are available?
Yeah, I think it's fairly small at the moment. I had a quick look before the presentation, a couple of days ago, and there seem to be a number of nursing photos and a few things like that. But
I think Rustichi is still working on his. So
Yeah, okay,
I'm guessing he
sure.
hasn't posted all of it yet.
Right. Yeah, and this library website is, as Ben said, quite new. I think that we've been talking about it for a couple of meetings now, a couple of months or so, and I think it now has just gone live as far as I can tell. So, yeah.
Just to be clear, this platform is new, but the institutional repository has been around for several years. We just had to move to a new platform.
Right.
So there's
Okay.
quite a bit of content in there. Yeah.
Thank you.
And as you can imagine, these are just some of the examples of the types of OER materials that can be generated beyond textbooks. And we've had other creation projects with different kinds of examples, anything from videos on how to, more health specific, so simulations of patient-doctor interactions, or even using the resources of OER in an open pedagogy setting, having students contribute to the generation of materials for a class. We have a variety of things. So if anyone has questions in general, please ask. And by the way, that also includes software. That's also an OER resource that is, beyond textbooks.
Okay, I guess we're well over time, and we still have participants. So if you have questions, you can hang around. But,
Thank you so much to all the
Thank you.
speakers. It was a wonderful session.
Okay, we'll see you later. Bye. Okay, I guess we're